Frenzy. Okay, this is a cosmic Misa. It's about to get crazy, isn't it? Oh.
もう CM が終わるぞ、龍崎。
そうですか。
勇気ある行動とは思いますが、大丈夫ですか？
はい、私は調べるうちにキラが人を殺すのに必要なものは2つあると分かりました。それが何なのか噂はいろいろありますが、私ははっきり分かったんです。
顔と名前。
しかしキラは私に関してそのうち片方を知りません。
本名がバレてないから殺されないと思って出てきたということか。
Shinigami
だと
eyes.
すれば名前につながるものは残さない。レム、どう思う？
どうって何がだ？
レム？誰だ？車には一人で乗り込んでいるし、
Oh.
あの車に他の者がいるとは思えない。
Misa?
も使っていない。無線か何かか。
いえ、あの車には無線
Oh,
はついてい
this
ま
is
せん。
big. This is big.
こっちの盗聴器、カメラ発信機だけです。切れるやつなら自分の名前につながるものは全て始末してからテレビに出る。それに吉田プロの勝手に事務所に入って
Okay, at least he's thinking about how suspicious that is.
多分樋口を吉田プロに行かせるのがライト
Okay,
山さんの策なのだろう。しかしこのままだとあいつがお前をキラだと知っているならお前の名前が発表される。それも事実だ。言ってみるしかないだろう。履歴書の名前が偽名だろうがそうで
Rem's doing her part.
ノートによる殺人でお前が怪しまれることはない。
ああ、そんなことは分かってる。しかし念のためその後電話してしまった吉田プロの者ミサやマネージャーは殺しておいた方がいいな。
やだ、殺すって。
大丈夫です。松田さんを殺したらという
He's so calm about
その
that.
後です。
さっき電話した人間たちを殺せば
Suspicious.
通信記録からお前が怪しまれる。
そうか。レム、お前頭。
Yeah, Rem has other motives.
で着信履歴を消させて殺す。
やはり独り言とは思えない。
He's not.
レムって誰だ？誰と話している？
Show me Misa.
もしあそこで会話しているのなら死神ですかね。
Go on
こ
now.
いつならこっちから先に。
とにかく殺さなければ。
樋口が吉田プロに着いた。
いよいよですね。
Frenzy. Let's see. Oh. Mogi.
さあどうやって殺すんだ。見せてみろ。
Oh, is this it? Come on, come on, pull it out, pull it out.
樋口を抑える用意はできています。いつでも指示を。
Not yet, not yet. Chill. There it is. Oh, did it not show up on camera? Him pulling out the.
ダメだ。名前をメモしただけで出るぞ。
Ah, okay, yeah, right.
殺さないのか。
They saw the notebook, but
抑えますか？
まだ殺し方が判明していません。
to them it's just a
もしか
notebook,
したら
right?
社内で何かをするのかもしれません。
Oh, it's a gun?
1秒でも早く松田さんを殺したいはずなのに冷静だな樋口は。
そうですね。
It sounded like a gun, his
名前が
gun.
必要なら履歴書ごと持って出ればいいものを履歴書を引き出しに戻した。39、40秒。
キラは殺人犯ですから私は絶対に許しません。
そう死なない。
どういうこと
Oh
だ？
man, he's panicking.
死なないって言ったぞ。
もう殺しの作業をしたのか。名前を書くことが殺しの行動なのか。
There it is, there it is. Go on now.
どうするんだ？まだ泳がせてみるのか。
どうなってる。しかし殺し方が判定できない。ここで抑えて自白を取ろうとしても。
Yeah, then.
顔は分かっているんだ。
Shinigami eyes.
あいつが忍び込んだ時の監視ビデオテープがある。死神の目が。
There it is. Is it gonna do it?
寿命の半分か。しかし発表されれば私の人生は
Yeah, there you go, man.
当然。
Make the choice.
ならば太く短く。
Oh my god, he's gonna do it.
レム、取引だ。
取引？なんださっきから言っているレムって。本当にキラの力は天からか何かのものなのか。
それは考えたくないですね。
じゃあレムってなんだ？
死神。とにかく様子を見た方がいいですね。
done.
これで俺は最強だ。これならいくらでも手はある。
Oh, okay. Normal police is getting in. Oh no, he's gonna take out this cop, isn't he?
こんなのに付き合ってる暇はない。
Yeah, he's gonna drop dead. Good old-fashioned chase, huh?
こちらは交通機動隊。
Oh my god.
シュワイがトラックに追突。大破。
大破。事故死。
まずいですね。樋口はカバンの中
Right.
に手を入れたが、その時何かしたのか。いや、それより白バイ隊員の名前をどうやって得たのかだ。もしかすると第二のキラ
Yeah.
の顔だけで、
He's putting it together.
顔だけで殺せるようになったのなら、顔を知っている町田もすぐに殺せるはず。どうなってる？
Right, that's the missing piece, right? It's difficult for him to...
皆さん、樋口をこれ以上動かすのは危険だと考え、確保に移ります。 しかし、
Alright,
樋口は第二の
executive
キラ
decision.
同様、顔だけで殺せるキラになった。その考えの元での確保です。
So you need to cover your faces. Dude's a maniac, look at him. Whoa, whoa, that's a long one.
次の CM で松井と司会者をマネキンに変え、用意してある音声でいかにも放送は続いているように見せる。
では、八神君、私たちも
Oh,
行きますか。
oh. Oh, they're going. This changes things.
ミサさんはすみませんが、しばらく動けないようにしていてもらいます。
Good move, L. Oh, he's going out there. Oh, that's beautiful, actually.
ヘリの操縦までできるとは思わなかったよ。伊崎。
Look at this. Oh,
どこにもない。
adequately titled
こ
episode,
のビ
Frenzy.
デオなのに消されている。奴がここに消しに来たのか。それとも奴に手を貸し裏切っている者が。いや、そんなことしたって。
So is he gonna go down fighting? It's dangerous, man.
ミスターヤガミ、いよいよね。これ、アイバーは銃が嫌いで私しか持ってないから。
私はもう警察官ではない。これを持つことは許されない。君が日本で使うこともだ。
Oh,
相変わらず硬いのね。
桜テレビに着きました。
Mogi. Ah, yes.
行こう、ハイバー。
The helmets.
オッケー、モギ。何？人形？まさか。
そこまでだ、樋口。
動くな。
Yes, they have the helmets on. Okay, yeah. Of course. That'd be quite the oversight, right?
観念するのね。
ネットをかぶっているということはキラ対策。
Anti-Kira. Oh no, he does have a gun, the good old-fashioned.
今名刺を。
Oh,
局長。
wow. Oh, he doesn't like guns.
くそ、こんなもの使いたくない
Oh man. Yeah, he's not a good shot, is he?
局長が撃たれました。樋口、どうぞ。大丈夫だ。すまん。
Chief Yagami.
すぐ追えばまだ捕まえられる。
まずい。桜テレビから逃げられたぞ。
私たちも直接確保に移ります。渡り、用意はいいですか？
Whoa, look at this.
八神君、これをご信用に持っていてください。相手はキラです。
いや、日本ですれば許さ
Same
れ
answer as his father.
きっと八神さんも同じことを言ったんでしょうね。
さっきのはどういうことだ。
It's getting to that point. If he gets caught, the death note is there. Someone is gonna touch it.
スモークを張ったパト
He's still dangerous. He's got a gun.
警察は裏でしっかりとキラ対策を。
Could he try?
なんでしょう。警察には動かないよう言ったんですが。
こんなことをするのは。
はい、そうですね。
Oh, it's Aizawa-san and the other guy. Oh, look at that. So a lot of them are close by right now.
そこまでだ。
Watari. Hand yourself. There's only two options. Either he offs himself or tries. Or the game's up. Oh my god, he shot it out of his hand? Oh my god, this is it. This is it.
終わったな。
Who's gonna grab the bag?
はい、そうですね。
This is it. This is the big game changer of the series at this point of the story. If Light gets that in his hand somehow. Whoa, okay, right then, that was quite the climax, right? You know, the game is up for new Kira Higuchi. I mean, that was straight up like a high-octane thriller, right? Like an action film conclusion to that episode. And I really think the score was utilized to great effect in this episode. You know, the music really has been one of the standouts, and, you know, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. And it's made it a much better experience for sure, right? It's certainly enhanced the experience. I mean, the music is part of the experience for sure. You know, it's certainly given this anime, this story, its identity, or a unique identity. And I've got to say, I really love the art style. You know, love seeing the night sky and the skyscrapers, right? And again, great coloring. I really like the look of it. It was a great episode. It really was. And you know, Higuchi just kept running into dead end after dead end, right? Getting more and more desperate throughout this mad dash. You know, driven to last resorts, like taking the Shinigami Eyes deal. And, you know, I've been saying that from the beginning, you know, even about Light. I could only see him taking the Shinigami Eyes deal if it's the absolute last resort, right? Up against the wall. And that's how it kind of played out for Higuchi, right? It was the last resort. And of course, another last resort being him turning the gun on himself, right? And you really feel his frustration throughout this episode, right? As he inches towards the boiling point, his boiling point. You know, some great tension and build-up throughout this episode. And it actually flew by, but even though it flew by, it felt like so much happened in that time span, right? And, you know, the thing is, Higuchi himself contemplated the reasoning behind Matsuda's bravery, right? Or feeling safe enough to step forward just because he doesn't know his real name. And at that point, it dawned on him that it might be because there's nothing remaining that connects him to his name. And, you know, in that moment, you see that defeated look on his face. It kind of felt like he already kind of knew then and there, you know, that this might be the reason this individual, he knew him as Matsui originally, but, you know, Matsuda, this might be the reason Matsuda is feeling safe enough to go on television, right? So he had that defeated look on his face, even in the car. And his concern ended up being right, right? He brainstormed it in his car. And, you know, that was pretty much the last time he had a calm demeanor as he contemplated, right, the what-ifs. But he simply just had to go on, right? He simply just had to go on. There's no other options. He had to give it a go. And, you know, Rem certainly did her part, and she implores him to continue, right? So she just assumed that, you know, Light and Misa want this to happen and that it must be part of the plan. So she just kind of plays along and makes sure to keep him on that track, right? And, you know, she might continue to play a part because she might be making an appearance to quite an audience. There's quite an exciting prospect here. And, you know, I actually brought that up in my last discussion, maybe in my last two discussions even. So I'll circle back to that in a bit. Essentially, a lot of things I discussed in the last episode, and even the one before that, apply to this episode, right? They now have Kira, right? They have him. That part was inevitable, right? He was going to get caught. Sooner or later, he was going to get caught, and it became quite clear that in the last episode that, yeah, he's on he's on that path now. You know, yes, it's important that they finally have him, right? This new Kira, but I think the most important thing here is the aftermath and the possibilities of this capture, right? And how things could play out from here, because that could be crucial to the story. I mean, it is crucial to the story from this point on, how things play out here. And pretty much everyone is present. All the major players are here, right? Except Misa, of course. You know, Elle simply wasn't going to take that risk, right? Having her around, given the recent and sudden change in attitude. And he's been quite suspicious of her since then. He knows something is off now. Something has changed about Misa, right? And he knows this happened after she came back from the Yotsuba Corporation. But it's really a clever setup to have all of them there, right? To have all the major players there. Even L himself came, right? And in the last episode, I said, I'm pretty sure that he's not going to show up because he doesn't usually go into the field, right? That's what the task force members usually do that. And he kind of hangs back and does his thing from his comfort zone, right? But, you know, I could totally see why he felt the need to be here, right? This is a big moment, right? A crucial moment. You know, this is Kira, and, you know, he's been chasing this, you know, killing method, right? Even throughout this episode, he's really holding off on apprehending Kira or Higuchi because he's still on that path, right? He really wants to know how he kills. And he actually showed up in style, right? He's the one flying this chopper as Watari's in the back, all geared up, just looking like an absolute badass, right? And, you know, he's out here sniping Higuchi's car, right? And he snipes out the gun right from his hands. So they really are Batman and Alfred in that sense. Though, of course, Alfred doesn't quite step out in this manner, but, you know, Alfred is known to take matters into his own hands from time to time as well. But yeah, you know, Watari and L, quite a team. And, you know, I would love to get some sort of backstory on these guys. I mean, it's still episode 23 out of 37, so there's still time, right? So yeah, a potential backstory is, or the prospect of a potential backstory is an interesting one, an exciting one, because these two really are quite the duo, aren't they? They really do complement each other. And, you know, a lot of the things L does requires Watari, right? Watari is the one who kind of puts things into motion, a lot of these things into motion. So yeah, you know, a rare and great moment in the spotlight for Watari in this episode. Now then, let's get back to this scenario, this setup. Light Yagami is this close. He's this close to that copy of the Death Note. The next episode could be insane. It really could be, right? But the question is, who is going to go into that car first, right? And grab Higuchi's bag and subsequently handling the Death Note in the process of checking the bag, right? Because it's evidence at this moment in time. I mean, I doubt it's going to be either L or Light, right? I think the safe bet is one of the task force members. I mean, it's highly likely that it could be more than one task force member that actually handles that book. And again, you know, I don't want to repeat the things I've said in the discussion for the last episode, but yeah, you know, I go through some of the permutations, some of the, you know, the what ifs and the possibilities. But yeah, you know, definitely possible that it could be more than one. And, you know, I say that I don't think it's going to be Light and L because they're in the chopper, and I think they might see how things play out from the chopper. I mean, they're not gonna, you know, be on the scene. They're not gonna be the first ones to, you know, check the car. You know, you have the task force members on the scene already, right? And really close by to Higuchi and his car. So one of them, you know, I think it's a safe bet that one of the task force members is going to go grab the bag first. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone is there to see the first person's reaction. That's one of the really interesting things about this setup, right? Having all of the major players here. So all of them are there to see how this first person, whoever it ends up being, might react, right? To potentially seeing Rem, the god of death, a Shinigami. I mean, surely you would freak the fuck out, right? If something like that happens to you all of a sudden, if something like that appears to you all of a sudden, you're going to freak out. I mean, anyone would freak out. And something like that is going to cause a scene, right? And, like I said, L is going to be there in the chopper and he'll be watching, right? He'll be looking at things. But this potentially causing a scene and bit of a panic is actually perfect for Light, isn't it? Yes, there's a really good chance that multiple members of the task force are going to touch the Death Note or handle it, right, as evidence. But it also means that he might be handling it as well, right, as a member of the task force, right? And if that happens, Kira Light Yagami returns, right? Those memories return. And then, if that happens, then shit gets real. Because I'm quite confident that he must have had a plan in place for this possibility. A plan after his memory could potentially return, right? So, yeah. But that being said, there is a stumbling block, L. Now, like I said, he'll be watching, right? And he'll be taking note of everything. He'll be taking everything in. And as I just mentioned, there's a possibility, a strong potential for a bit of a panic, right? A bit of a scene as people potentially see Rem after handling the Death Note. Now, could L figure out on the spot that touching this book, right, this Death Note, might be the cause of this? I mean, throughout this episode, both Light and L see something quite strange, something quite fascinating happen in Higuchi's car. Both of them see Higuchi speak with someone, right? And they were kind of baffled. I mean, Light was really baffled by this. But the thing to note here is that Higuchi didn't seem deranged or anything as he was speaking with someone in that car, right? It was calm and it was carrying out like an actual conversation, like a back and forth, right? He even name dropped Rem. You see Light kind of repeat that name a few times. So I really do think it is going to click for L the moment something crazy starts happening with anyone from the task force who touches it, the Death Note, that Higuchi was indeed speaking with someone in that car and that it was this being Rem, right? So I really do think it's going to click for L in this next episode. I mean, L mentions Shinigami twice, right, in this episode, but it was also clear to see from his tone that he's not going in that direction, right? He was kind of just tossing that term out there again. He's certainly still a bit apprehensive about that supernatural aspect or possibility, right? In fact, it was actually Light who started going into that direction, right, in a serious manner. And it was interesting that he phrased it as power from the heavens rather than power from hell, right? So it's interesting. But circling back, could L figure that out on the spot as it potentially happens, right? And then makes the choice to not let Light come in contact with the book, right, as a precaution. Because he knows, let's not forget that, he knows that Light Yagami used to be Kira, right? And then the power passed on. So, I can totally see that happening, that he kind of, takes that precaution and doesn't allow Light to come in contact with this book. Because if the Shinigami aspect clicks, so should Kira's killing method, right? Actually, I was a bit surprised at how they decided to make L confused in this episode. Because, I thought there was enough there that someone like L, someone as impressive as L, should have at least have a go at the possibility of the killing method. Or at least have a go at the things that are happening in front of them, right, on camera and in Higuchi's behavior. I mean, I think there's enough there for him to actually consider the supernatural element. Even the fact that they've established for some time now that second Kira was able to kill just by seeing someone's face, and now this Kira might be doing the same thing. That alone seems supernatural enough, right? I mean, in this episode, L noticed that Higuchi reached in his bag and did something, And then he immediately questions how he was even able to get this cop's name so quick. And as far as he knew, Higuchi could not kill Matsuda just by knowing his face, right? Because he's seen his face already. Yet now, all of a sudden, he appears to only need a face. And, this comes after him saying, Rem, let's make the deal. And of course, Light and L both heard this, right? On the camera. And also, both L and Light noticed how calm he was after getting the name, right? But then he freaks out all of a sudden that Matsuda didn't die. And because of that, L questioned if he just tried to kill him in some manner and it didn't go according to his plan or according to plan, right? So he's questioning so many of these things and he's taking it all in, right? But, again, based on the cop incident, he immediately makes an executive decision to go in on Kira, right? He puts an end to it. He finally decides, because of this incident, because of this, change of demeanor and possibilities, he decides now is the time to move in on him. But yeah, I really do feel like all of this is going to click for L in the next episode, right? All of these things he's taken in this episode, and then, potentially seeing how, handling this Death Note, this book, brings out this, god of death, right? The Shinigami. And of course, they know the name. Light said it out loud a few times as well, Rem. So yeah, I think it really should click in the next episode if it didn't click in this episode. And now that they do have Higuchi, L is going to have all kinds of questions from him, right? So that adds yet another interesting element to all of it. And actually, I completely forgot to mention that L himself might inspect the Death Note. So actually, there is a good chance, I think it's actually quite likely that he himself might meet Rem. And I mean, at that point, it's definitely going to click, right? If the Shinigami Rem actually, speaks with them and gives them her name, right? So at that point, everything is just going to click. And say if a bunch of them do see Rem and have questions for her, I feel like L is certainly going to have questions for this Shinigami, right? If he does handle a Death Note, and I do feel like he is going to inspect it, right? Now, she could continue playing her part. I think she could do that. And continue saying things that are beneficial to Light and Misa, right? I mean, she knows all about L and the task force and how, L is a threat to Misa. So she could continue to say things that benefit them, right? And play along. So yeah, this next episode promises to be quite a good one, right? Yeah, things might get crazy. Shit might get real. So I'm quite excited. I'm quite excited for this next episode. And also, it was quite nice to see Ayazawa again, showing up. And of course, the other cop as well who stepped out of the task force a long time ago, really early on in the season. Right, that's about it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in early access to the next episode right now, or perhaps even full length for this episode, consider checking out the Patreon page and the different listings there and, plans for anime in 2021 and beyond. The link is in the pinned comment and in the description. And yeah, consider subscribing to the channel if you do enjoy the content. So thank you for joining me, thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again soon. So until next time, take it easy.